Welcome back. Onto the management of Biocon now, where our colleague Vinnii Motiwala caught up with the company's group CEO Peter Bains and began by asking him about the quarter gone by and how they see the growth going forward. Listening.
The first half has been steady. It's come in line with our expectations. And if we look at Q2 on a like-for-like basis, operating revenues up 8%, but that's reflecting a mix wherein the biologics division, our biosimilars platform, has been growing like-for-like at 19%, and that's been offsetting degrowth marginally in Syngene at 2% and 8% in generics. But as we've said, we expect 25 to be a year of two halves, so a relatively subdued first half, but transitioning to accelerating growth in the second half. Drivers for that transition include the sustained momentum that we're seeing in our biosimilars business, as I said, growing 19% on a like-for-like basis in Q2 and seeing that momentum carrying forward. Clear visibility now of a return to growth in Syngene, where despite it on a year-to-year basis, a degrowth on a quarterly basis plus 13%, and clear visibility of recovery in discovery and research services and momentum in the large molecule business. And in our generics business, where we've been facing headwinds in the first half, we've now got line of sight of several important product launches in the second half, including our first launch of GLP Liraglutide generic in the United Kingdom at the end of this calendar year, and additional important launches of drugs in the United States in the fourth quarter. All of these will impact momentum and turn the shift into a more accelerating growth trajectory.
Right, Peter, I just want to follow up on that are we watching out for, given those plant clearance issues, are you quite positive on that front? Or if that doesn't happen, then could we see a bit of a glitch coming in?
So, we've been working with the agency during the year. We've submitted all the necessary CAPAs and documentation. We're continuing a dialogue with the agency with an expectation that we'll get readouts from them on both the Bengaluru facility before the end of this calendar year and the Malaysia facility in early calendar 25. We can't prejudge the agency. We're working with them very constructively, and we're looking forward to those outcomes, which will have important implications to our ability to launch aspart and bevacizumab in particular.
Okay, sure. Peter, what everyone is also wondering about is the net debt. When you look at it in this quarter, $1.4 billion is what the net debt, consolidated debt level is at. I want to understand in terms of what is the strategy there in terms of capital structure, strategic plan to power this debt going forward. And obviously, you have refinanced some of your long-term debt also through bonds during the quarter. How are we looking at all of this? What is required now from the company to reduce the debt further?
So you're right. You've covered a lot of the bases that we've been covering. Fundamentally, we want to reduce the debt level. The consolidated bank debt is actually $1.2 billion, and that's been brought down over the last year. It principally relates to the acquisition debt of Viatris, but we pared that down $250 million during the course of last year, and we intend to bring it further down during the remaining course of this year. We've also restructured the debt very significantly with the issuance of a US dollar-denominated bond, now listed on the Singapore Exchange. That was $800 million. And that's a strategic restructuring of the finances, providing us with midterm stability, pushing out repayments that were due on the underlying debt out to 2030, giving us more financial flexibility to invest in the growth story that's emerging, and also actually extending our network of investors through the global placing that we achieve. We've also refinanced $300 million worth of term debt at a variable rate that's favorable to the previous rate and allows us the ability to pare the debt down further. So a lot of work's been going on in debt. We remain committed to bringing it down, having now fundamentally restructured it.
Absolutely, a lot of work that has already been done, and it's interesting that there's a lot more still left to do. But so to manage the liquidity side, would the company be considering any corporate actions this time, or maybe any stake sale from any of the other side of the businesses, subsidiary side, anything on that front?
So we have a number of levers and opportunities, to look at with which we can bring the debt further down. And of course, as we've been doing in the course of the last year, we continue to examine them, and we will take further action before the end of the year. But it would be, inappropriate for me to say what we're going to do. We're monitoring the situation. We can look at additional equity, we can look at additional capital and debt, and of course we can potentially look at disposals. But those are not the priorities. I mean, we have a number of options. We'll choose the right one at the right time.
Sure. Peter, let's shift focus and talk about the generics business, right? You did highlight a bit of a pressure that came in this time, and your presentation also indicates mainly it was due to the pricing pressure that was there, demand contraction, and some bit of the planned shutdown of the API facility. Q3, second half of the year, what are we expecting from the generics business? Do you think the pricing pressure that we are seeing, that is now behind us?
I think we expect pricing pressure to remain, maybe not as acute as it has been in the first half, but more importantly, we've been preparing for strategically important launches. The highest priority being the Liraglutide launch in the United Kingdom, which is the first foray into the GLP-1 market, and we're well placed there to launch in November. And additional launches of important injectable drugs like daptomycin in the United States. So really, we see the second half recovery in the generics business being driven by new product launches.
All right, we take that point. Thanks a lot for that. That's about Biocon, down about 2% in today's trading session. Post their numbers has seen a bit of a recovery from the lows, just like the markets. But as CNBC-TV18 celebrates 25 years of excellence, we invite you to the most anticipated event of the year. It's the CNBC-TV18 Global Leadership Summit. We bring together visionary policymakers. We have the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. We also have the RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das, industry leaders like HSBC India's Hitendra Dave, Kotak Mahindra's Uday Kotak, and trailblazing startup founders. And this is where the roadmap for India's next 25 years of growth and global leadership will be charted. You don't want to miss this.